B41 to H base on the code 1.
41 code 1, go ahead.
H base, I have a code.
There was a fire in a shul on 16th Avenue. And they call in Hatzolah, all hands. That means everyone come. It's a major fire, and they need help. Ambulances, members coming. There's a lot of victims. I see Yanky Meyer coming out of the Beis Medrash, holding 2 Sifrei Torah, with his face black and his beard burnt, singed. And if you think the fire department and the police department wanted him to go, or allowed him to go into the shul, you got another thing coming. The man literally ran into a fiery building. And Yanky Meyer, the hero of Klal Yisrael, hero of Yisrael L'Amanos, is the hero of Sifrei Torah. That was when my whole perspective on what an askin is supposed to do.
There was a time when families facing tragedy had nowhere to turn. No roadmap, no organization, no one to call. One name kept coming up.
He was a person that couldn't stop.
24/7, maybe 48/7. I just don't know how he did it.
Not because he sought recognition, not because he held a position, but because whenever people ran out of options, he never did.
He didn't know how to do chesed on a small scale.
You're almost relieved when he showed up. He would say 2 or 3 words and everything was all right.
Yanky Meyer was an unstoppable train.
So that was Yanky.
The man the world came to know didn't appear overnight. Like every remarkable life, his journey began long before anyone knew his name. And that's where our story begins.
He came from a family that was knee-deep in chesed. His grandmother was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and she was involved in the Chevra Kadisha in Germany. And when she came over to America, she started the Chevra Kadisha in Borough Park. He had the roots were planted in him from his family, and he just picked up one and continued with it.
Yanky started as a Hatzolah member in Borough Park, very young actually, and one thing led to another. But he was a member of Bek Chodim Chevra Kadisha, and he did Taharis with them.
He was very active in Tomchei Shabbos. He actually took me along sometimes when his usual Thursday night partner wasn't able to make it.
He was doing this, I'd say he was born with, put a cherry on his crib. Yanky was running around Borough Park, answering every call that he could get his hands onto, and at that time, there was really, Hatzolah wasn't such a big organization, and for sure there weren't a lot of Bachrim involved in it, but he somehow managed to wiggle his way into it. He was out there on the street all the time.
I go back with Yanky to the beginnings, to the 1980s, when Yanky drove a Crown Vic with the jaws of life in his trunk.
ESU and the police department were not coming fast enough, and the fire department were not coming fast enough to motor vehicle accidents where people were dying inside of cars because you needed certain tools that only the specialized units had. So what does this, I want to say it the way I want to say it, what does this crazy person do? He goes out and he learns how to use a hearse tool. The police started coming faster, and the fire department started coming faster because they knew if they didn't get there fast enough, Jack Meyer is going to be the one breaking open the doors, and they couldn't have that.
He had no selfish bone in his body. Never looking for a thank you. He never pushed his name out front. The organization, yes, the workers, but Jack was never about the accolades or a pat on the back.
He was just there to get the job done, and then he was out of there.
He never needed to walk into a chasna and the crowd splits like the Red Sea because he walked in. On the contrary, he would kind of slink in through the side and find a mechitna, say mazel tov, and walk back out, and nobody even realized he was there.
It didn't take long for people to notice. Yanky wasn't just someone who did chesed. He saw needs others overlooked, took on challenges others avoided, and never waited for someone else to act.
What Klal Yisrael does is so far beyond what any other society in the world does that it's unbelievable, and it's really, really amazing. But there are few people, and Yankie was one of them, that don't just do chesed, they invent chesed.
His nature was askanis. That was his blood. He had this constant drive, and till it led into something where he felt there was a void. He filled that void.
He was a person that was not addicted to doing chesed. He was the ish ha-chesed.
Whatever chesed he did it, he took it to the most extreme that you could take it, and it didn't make a difference if you were his neighbor, his friend, or his relative.
For him, there was no such thing as saying, no, I can't do it. He tried till the last drop.
Yankie ran for the most catastrophic situation, like 9/11, he ran right into the fire, or to when somebody was stuck in jail on an Erev Shabbos because driving with a suspended license and he had to be home for Shabbos. Who do you call? You call Yanky Meyer.
Beshefer gave him extra koiches, because b'derech hateva it would be nearly impossible for one person to do so much.
The common denominator between every great askin that Klal Yisrael ever had or will ever have is that no is not an option. No is not an answer. No is a way to get to a yes. Yanky Meyer was the king of getting a yes.
That basically sums it up, what he was all about.
The more people he helped, the more he realized that helping after the fact wasn't enough. There had to be another response, one that could unite an entire community before tragedy struck. So, during Aseret Yemei Tshuva, he brought Klal Yisrael together in Tefillah.
Young Tefillah in Aseret Yemei Tshuva for refuahs and yeshuas for Klal Yisrael's children, Kinderlach. Buses and kids and bachrim and kids and more kids and more kids. You know who else he got? Literally every Rav, Rebbe, Gadol he could get his hands on to come and participate. Not shaykh. You felt the Eibishter in the room. You mamish felt the Shechina in the room.
As Yankie's circle continued to grow, so did the number of lives he touched. Along the way, he formed relationships that would become deeply important to him and would help shape the chapters still to come. One of those relationships began on the side of the road.
I used to help out Chevra Kadisha of Borough Park, and I was on my way to the hospital one night in the rain. And on my way to the hospital, I hit somebody crossing the street. Hatzolah came, Yankie was the first responder to the call. For 2-3 weeks after that, every day, Yankie would call me to see how I'm doing. I didn't know Yankie before at all. Who would have thought of something like that? You know, the joke is always that Yankie and I met by accident.
Age-base to all members with an urgent announcement. Please use extra caution.
Then,
do not go
9/11
next
happened.
to the World Trade Center. Stay as far as you can.
What was already inside him now had nowhere to hide.
When plane 1 hit, I saw the aftermath because my warehouse was in Brooklyn, right opposite of the Twin Towers.
All members who is possible to go away from the scene. The second building is about to go down.
Plane 2 hit. When plane 2 started coming down, he was walking out of a garage. A hand came and schlepped him in.
Tell my wife at least I said Shema, okay?
Yankie always held that there was a malach that pulled him in, that saved his life. What Yankie did for people down there, Yid, not Yid, for anyone, was unbelievable. Yankie, for months after that, used to bring food for the cops that were stationed at Ground Zero. He built up unbelievable connections through that. And that's because he was a doer. He did. He didn't just talk.
Over the years, wherever he went, Yankie built relationships. And when he called, people answered.
He called me one time, 3 o'clock in the morning. There was some young people that just lost in one moment their father and mother.
He called me once. He needs to raise $180,000 for a couple of hours.
Meyer, load up your trucks and get over here with supplies. Let me know when you're ready. I'm going to send you a police escort.
Matzi Kippur, I get a call from him, Yitzchak, go pack up danishes and orange juice.
He was a master at figuring out who and what you could do to help him get what he needed to help whoever he was helping.
One night, it was about 12 midnight, he pulls his, whatever he drove, I don't know what we call that vehicle, with the lights flashing, knocks on the door, sat down, no hello, no shalom aleichem. He had a tremendous need in the community, and he felt that I could be helpful. He launches right into it. I saw already this is a different kind of a Yid. From then on, we became like brothers.
When he called you to do something, no wasn't an option. You just couldn't tell him no. It was just, okay, no problem, I'll do it in the middle of the night, whatever it was.
Hat gehad dem Key de Schlüssel zu jedem einem in jeder einer hat sich gerechnet mit ihm in einem aufgenommenen herangegangenen Deuren in hat matzlich gewesen.
The whole world was touched by that story that happened with little Ivy Kletzky. They literally worked their heads off right through the night in the medical examiner's office. There was nothing stopped them, nothing deterred them. Whenever I picked up the phone, I had their ear. Whenever they needed anything, we were able to, and we haven't stopped ever since.
Yanky just knew the right people to call to make it that much easier for covered a mace, to make something that would take 12 hours. A body sitting in a house 12 hours into 2 hours.
Yanky knew what buttons to push to get the answers, and he did. It didn't make a difference what time of the day. He had their personal cell and he called them.
There are very, very few people who will not care what door needs to be broken down and is willing to do it and take it all the way.
They know that Yanky did not abuse their number. If Yanky or Jack was calling, something is going down.
He never pushed them to a place where they would never go, but he pushed them to the place where they could go. He pushed them to the limits there.
As a very high-ranking NYPD chief once said, the reason he always goes overboard for Jack, as many of them called him, is because Jack never calls for anything for himself.
He was always calling because someone else needed something and allowed us in to help also.
It's hard to find somebody like that in the community, somebody that doesn't have an ulterior motive, and that was Jack Meyer.
There was a true bonding, and he was there for them too. He never forgot their needs. I felt like Jack was one of my best friends. Everywhere we went, it didn't matter if it was the FBI, whatever the gathering was, NYPD, they were also his best friends. If you met Jack, you were like one of his best friends.
Medical examiners, police officers, judges, big, small, and everyone in the middle. You knew that Yankie Meyer was going to be there for you.
As more people turned to Yanky, he never mistook action for independence. He sought guidance. For Yanky, clarity came from Das Torah.
Chotschig hat gekannt a Sach, und hat gekannt oft in a Sach, und hat gehad, hat keinem nicht getan, auf sein eigener Advice und kann das Torah. Ich rier mich nicht da weg. Fahr ich frag, a das Teure, sie du sie richtig, sie du sie nicht richtig, chotschig ich seh nicht what's wrong mit that, aber ich weiß nicht. Ich habe bekommen dem okay, aber darf das stehen, ehrlich geint ihn, also ich wein bei jeder Sache.
So in one hand, he was an undisciplined person, running to do good, running to do chesed, any time, day or night. But on the other hand, he was absolutely a soldier of Das Torah.
Many times we discussed matters together. He listened. Not that I knew better than him, but he listened to what other people had to say. He may have disagreed. He could try to convince the Das Torah a little bit differently. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But he was able to listen.
As Yanky's chesed work continued to grow, there simply weren't enough hours in the day for the community, his business, and his family. Something had to give. So Yankie made what to him was the obvious decision.
Yankie had a business, and he was looking for someone to come into the business that he could trust and run the business while he could continue doing his chesed work and expand on it. We made an agreement that I would come on. I would be running the business, and with him a little interaction in it, but basically he wouldn't be involved too much in it. And the rest is history.
Free to focus fully on the needs of Klal Yisrael, Yankie could now turn his attention to a dream he had carried for years, addressing a glaring void in the community.
He told me once when he started, he said this was a dream he had for years. It's an idea he had in his head.
I remember the days there was no Sefer Torah, there was no place to get chairs for Shiva, and Shiva was a major chore for the family to get chairs. If they don't know where to get karka, he helped out with that. They didn't know anything. They're at a loss suddenly, especially when it's a sudden death.
Wenn gekommen in Zibislech hat herangebracht, als sie genig de Pain in der Zar, wo es Menschen haben, aber da alles, was sie können beseit, sollen sie haben, alles soll kennen gehen, es soll gut nicht fehlen, sei für die Josh, wenn man sei für die, wo sie, für die Menachmen.
Yankie was a master in details, master. So much so to put Tylenol into the Shiva boxes. When the Ovo comes home, he should have a Tylenol because they probably have headache, they haven't eaten the whole night. He didn't leave anything out.
In wegen dem ist es Tage chesed im Achayim wie im Amaisem. Nicht nur im Amaisem.
Sometimes I felt he went overboard. He just did too much. You know, and the one example that really stood out in my mind was Yankie, whenever there were children sitting Shiva, would have the volunteers go on Erev Shabbos, pick up everything from the house, the Sefer Torah, the chairs, the tables, put the house back together as if nothing was going on. Matzah Shabbos, a minute after the Zman, everything was brought back in. And I had said to him, let's go to the house, pile everything up in a corner. Matzah Shabbos, they can just put it back themselves. Yankie understood the needs that people have that they themselves don't even know that they needed. But he took that extra step where he went and he got it done and taken care of.
How unoriginal, and yet so fantastically original. Chairs and Sidurim for people sitting Shiva? But if you look deeper into what that was all about, that was just the beginning, not the end. It was an avenue into the house to be able to help a family that suffered a loss. That's not only genius, that's visionary genius.
And whenever we would see a little child that would get up from Shiva, when we came in to clean up the house, we would always stop and think, what's next? What's next? It's not the normal thing for a child to have to sit Shiva. We made that connection with the kid. We became a friend now. We bought a kid toys. You become a best friend when you give a kid toys. What's next? And that's why Project Yedid was created.
Project Yedid is the natural outgrowth of all of his askanis, a way that he can institutionalize and organize his gefühl and his heart for the underdog. There is no greater underdog in the world than a young Yassin. The Chalamoy trips, and the Shavuos flowers, and the Yom Tovim gifts, and the Shalach Manas Sudas, and all the stuff that he does for Purim. That started from the chairs. That was the end game.
I personally asked him more than once. Misaskim is manageable financially. There was something yet. To raise money, it's a one-time need. You need volunteers, you need this, you need that. Yedid is a long-time mortgage. It's a constantly raising funds. You don't have that. You don't have the backers. Why are you doing it? So his answer was simple. I'm not going to turn my back on those in need. I'm not going to walk out the door, shut it, and say goodbye. As hard as it's going to be, I will be there for them.
Yedid made sure they're not forgotten. What could be a higher calling than that?
Over the years, Misaskim had faced nearly every kind of tragedy, but nothing could have prepared them for what came next. For Yankie, COVID-19 would become the greatest challenge of his life.
Just the sheer volume of cases that we had to deal with was something that we never, ever, ever thought we would have to face. There was no stopping, there was no sleeping. Round the clock, trying to help yet another family, one family on top of the other family. The amount of people that were dying was something that nobody ever thought we would have to face. Every one of them had its unique problem. Trying to catch a flight to Eretz Yisrael with the COVID problem, they didn't want to take the Aroinas, trying to help get them onto a private plane, trying to get death certificates signed. Could I make the Levaya? Can't I make the Levaya? The Beis HaChaim's open, the Beis HaChaim's closed, they don't let us in, they do let us in. What's about the family members that can't say goodbye? The problems were just astronomical problems that we faced literally around the clock.
While working tirelessly to confront the devastation, he fought to keep the yeshivas open and functioning, to ensure that Torah learning could continue, and that shuls and weddings could remain a part of communal life responsibly.
Man tate sich reine de Vruche mit einer Sache gesucht. Die kannst nicht nehmen die Jewish Community in es zusammenstellen mit der goyische Community. Sie hat different Sach, sei darf nur Talmud Teures, sei darf nur Chasanes, sei darf nur Butte Medrusham, sie nicht du azame Sach.
On his matzeva, on his tombstone, they didn't write much about Hatzolah, Misaskim. It's mentioned, but the main point over there that's mentioned is that during COVID, he was the one that arranged with the government agencies, the yeshivas, the schools could stay afloat and could continue.
Gehad des Schia, as wie viel Hevel של Tinoike של Beiserabam damals, wo es ist umgegangen weiter, wo es nur a Dank Yanky Meyer.
Looking back, one question keeps coming up. What was it that drove him? How did one person manage to do so much?
I actually believe he felt Klal Yisrael's pain. Somebody in the other part of the world was hurting. It was personal to him. It wasn't just, okay, no, it was his.
His willpower. He didn't want to stop. Yanky, sit down for a minute. Sitting down for a minute meant, I'm going to create something else in that minute. He'll go over to the precinct, help somebody who's arrested, bring him food, make sure he has a lawyer. Anything and everything is because he had Mesiras Nefesh. That's the only answer. He came to Ami, to Klal Yisrael, he had the Mesiras Nefesh.
Bei ihm ist gewesen eine Sache, was ich auch noch gesagt habe. Das ist gekommen, anywhere, von dem größten Tzadik in Guen Ador, in Rosh Hashiva, ist dem puschetsten Jid, wenn hat ihm gesagt, hat gehalten ihn mitten essen. Hat gehalten, hat noch nicht geschlafen. Hat gehalten mitten Business. Alles ist gestorben. Ich darf jetzt helfen, dem Jid. Und wegen dem hat gar keine Sluche.
Behind everything Yanky accomplished stood a wife and family whose support made it possible. His work may have carried his name, but it was never his alone.
We founded Misaskim, busy Hatzolah, busy with this. To us, he was Yanky. He was there for his kids. He used to go Shabbos sometimes, I'd pop in, and he was always busy with his parsha sheets.
We have to keep in mind his Eishes Chaya. She was his backbone.
His family helped him out and saw the real Yanky, what he's all about. His Mesiras Nefesh for everything.
For years, Yanky moved at a pace few could understand. Eventually, that pace began to catch up with him. His health was declining, but his sense of responsibility never did.
When we heard Yanky Meyer was sick, I got so crazed. How could this person who gave his life to help people be sick? Teretz says he lived his life fully. But he did in the short life that he had, he did more than people do in 500 years. Because he didn't waste a second to tell people.
Then came the day no one was ready for. Yanky Meyer was Nifter.
Dedicated member of Chevra Hatzolah, a world-known askanim for many years for Klal Yisrael, and founder of the Misaskim organization, Yanky Meyer Uluf Hashulam B41.
Shall I tell you that on the day that he left this world, my best friend left. Klal Yisrael's best friend left.
That was, in my lifetime, I think one of the greatest losses that we all experience, and me personally.
And I saw myself at his funeral, members of the New York City Police Department cry. I saw it myself.
This guy was so busy taking care of other people. I'm going to get a little emotional here. He was so busy taking care of other people, he didn't take care of his own health. And it kind of makes me angry. The guy really, he went all out for people, and he forgot about himself.
There's just no way to quantify this man. It was almost like we had a special being given to us for a short period of time, and we probably didn't appreciate him at the time. It's Uncle Jack, it's Jack.
Man sucht jeden Tag beim Davenen, Joitzer Oir, I Voirei Choshech. Favus Joitzer Oir, I Voirei Choshech. Joitzer Oir. Me sei dem Oir, derech dem, wo sie I Voirei Choshech. Mod gat Yankim, jeder einer hat gewisst. Rebbes, Rabbanim, Rosh Yeshivas, du in Eretz Yisrael, Yankie. Aber mit dem hat man nicht gewiss. Wenn sie kommt, haben wir nicht. Und man hat es nicht. Yankie ist weg. Jetzt kann man sagen, ist sie geworden, ich wollte euch. Wie mehr a Tag mehr, wie ist Yankie? Yankie is missing.
To me, if I hear the name Yankie Meyer, the first thing that comes to mind is still getting over the fact that he's not here.
In my office, I have a picture. And when you move around my office, the eyes on that picture follow you. You could stand close to it, you could stand off to the side, you could be in the next room looking in, and he's looking at you, he's looking back. I do look at Jack and talk to him. He hasn't answered me yet, but I'm hoping he'll get around to it. And that was Jack, and I cherish that picture.
How many times have I hearing something happened and the first thing is to call, in my mind, to call Yankie? Constantly.
We had a case that a young person was in a terrible car accident. That's just what came to mind. Wow, how I needed Yankie to hold my hand in this. If Yankie was there, I got it with his voice. I got it.
Where's Yankie? Where's Yankie? And I think that's a tremendous, tremendous loss for our community. Thank God I got to know him for a while, and that he was my friend, and I know I was his. It's a loss, and one will never make up, but all we can do is continue thinking about him. I do every night. When I say my prayers, he's in my prayers. And that will continue until somebody's saying prayers for me when I'm gone.
For hours today, hope had been fading. As darkness blanketed this desperate search, the grim reality began to sink in. Would this 7-year-old ever come home? Search teams called out his name, and he responded ever so faintly for his father. Tonight, that 7-year-old boy will be wrapped in his parents' embrace. Reporting live in Canarsie, Stefan Kim, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
There are very few people who have left the scene in Klal Yisrael that people can say they really have not been replaced. And Yankie Meyer is very much at the very high level of that list.
It's incredible how many people are involved in the organization now trying to do with what one man did.
Take 1,000 people to carry on his work. It's impossible.
But the organization continues to strive, grow, and we continue doing what needs to be done.
Hashem did not forsake us just because he took Yankie Meyer. Hashem will, make sure things fall into place and things will happen.
Is it easy? No. It's a challenge day by day. But we keep on reminding ourselves, he also had challenges. He didn't go into this because it's going to be an easy job to get done, and that's what he went into it for. No, he had his challenges. He pushed himself. He got over it. So will we. He was a beacon of light. And whatever he put down as the stepping stones for the organization, That is what we continue doing, and that's continuing to shine on.
Baruch Hashem, we continue his name proudly.
And we have to just continue the success that we have and keeping the legacy going. And that's what we all mention.
Our responsibility is to constantly think, how can we accomplish more with saying less? Because this is a very strong lesson that Yankie imparted without saying it.
Yankie truly is going to be missed, forever. But the way to, to recover that is to go on his ways, to care for people in every aspect, to follow the footsteps of the Ish chesed.
To work with people who are sad every day and yet have that smile, that simchas achayim, a lesson to all of us. You could be helping the whole world and see the world's sorrows and yet have what is necessary to be a mensch. Simchas achayim, Yankie, we miss you. And most of all, I miss your simchas achayim.
If Yankie Meyer was here speaking about himself, he would not laud everything that he accomplished. What he would do is he would say to you, in his own inimitable way, with his own inimitable style, with his unique accent, he would say to you, why aren't you doing it? Let's do this together. Yankie wasn't about doing it alone, he was about getting it done. And that, the legacy of Yankie Meyer should inspire everyone to roll up their sleeves and do something.
I think the main idea that Klal Yisrael could learn from Yankie, and I think maybe that's the reason why the Heilige Bashefer sent him into this world, is to learn what is fire, what is hislavus for Dober Shebikdusha, for Klal Yisrael. He had the fire inside that made him go where other people wouldn't go, that made him unabashed, that made him not ashamed for anything in Klal, that when the police department gave him a nickname, not a nice nickname, he couldn't care less. He once told me after someone called him in public that name, he said, I don't care. If Klal Yisrael gets what they need, call me whatever you want. That's what Klal Yisrael has to learn. The humility, the love for everybody. What can we learn from him? Take care of everybody. Take care of each Yid like they're your own.
I think the lesson is, and this is something I think that he got from his mother, my shviga Allah Hashem. And when she came to America, she joined the Chevra Kadisha. And when she joined the Chevra Kadisha, she davened that her first case that she would get for the Chevra Kadisha should not be someone that she knows. And sure enough, the first person that she was called to do a Taharon was a neighbor, a good friend of hers. Now, even though she didn't want to do it, but she knew that it's the right thing to do it, and she went ahead to do it. And I think that's the attitude that you have to have. Sometimes it's out of your comfort zone. It's something that you don't want to do. But if you know it's the right thing to do, then you should do it. And that's what Yankie was about. It might not have been something that it was in his comfort zone, but if he knew it was the right thing to do, then he would go ahead and he would do it.
Yankie taught us that chesed means, what can I do for somebody else? And it's on us to take that lesson, and maybe we didn't have that ability to understand that on our own, but he taught it to us. So let's take that lesson that Yankie taught us, and let's try to do it ourselves. That doesn't mean we can be him, but maybe one person can replace Yankie. But as a group, as a tzibur, each doing our part, we're able to come together and try to emulate something that was amazing.
I wish I was half the man he was and had half the good effect on people and did the good deeds that he did. And in my life, because of Jack, I've always tried to do better. And I'll continue to try to do better. But there's only one Jack. I really wish we'd had him a little bit longer because he was a teacher, he was a friend, and a co-worker. And miss him dearly. There is no other Jack Meyer.
It's very hard to hold back the tears that Yankie is not here. We all miss him dearly. After Yankie was nifter, and I would see people, and people would say, so you're going to fill Yankie's shoes And I said, Yankie wore a size 12. I don't think I can come to a size 2 to Yankie. And, but the Eibishter helps, and we're going to go on.
If he could have one wish in this world, I think that would be it. That everybody should go in his way. Everybody should feel the pain of Klal Yisrael, be sensitive to all the needs, and be Moshe Nefesh. Just a push of the Yid. But I believe the times that we're living are not normal. Anyone that can be Moshe Nefesh, anyone who can exhibit that level for Klal Yisrael, that can help Misaskim, that can be part of it all, I believe it will be the schus that will save each individual, Klal Yisrael, and bring Mashiach Tzidkenu.